I am making a new feature film and I'm shooting on a RED Komodo. Now, that may not seem unusual, and it's really not, but as I started approaching this project, I was debating on the best way to shoot it. Now, I've shot with all kinds of cameras. I've used RED since 2007. I was actually at NAB in 2007 checking out the RED 1, and the studio I worked out of bought a RED 1. And I've used RED for years. I've actually produced a movie shot on RED. But if you follow me and you know my background, I also shoot on mirrorless cameras. I shoot on iPhones. My main other YouTube channel is a channel all about mobile video, mobile filmmaking. And I did consider shooting this movie on a phone, actually, believe it or not. And I say believe it or not because you can absolutely shoot a movie on a phone. And I actually encourage it depending on the project. This project is a period piece set in 1981. And so the more I thought about it, the more I thought, no, I need to shoot this on a camera that's going to give it that period vibe, more of a filmic vibe. And you can do that again with a phone or a mirrorless camera. But when it came down to it, as I was doing the budget and figuring out the plan, I narrowed it down to four cameras. The first one would be Arri Alexa. And that is obviously the gold standard. Every movie in Hollywood pretty much today is shot on that. That really didn't fit into my budget. And this is a micro budget project. Number two would be a RED, like a RED Raptor or a Komodo, like I'm actually going to use. And then the number three really is a Sony Venice. The Sony Venice is a great camera that's really starting to be used pretty widely. It was used on Top Gun Maverick. It was used on the Academy Award-winning film. Well, I'm blanking out on the name right now. It was the movie that had the deaf cast in it, the deaf actors. I'll put a graphic up here on the screen. That looks really good. All those cameras look good. The fourth camera I considered is a Blackmagic Pocket. Now, I own a Blackmagic 4K, but I just felt like I've used that camera for years. I love that camera. For this particular project, I wanted to go a little bit higher end, a little bit bigger look. The 4K has a micro four thirds sensor. The 6K, which I don't have, but I could have gotten, that has a Super 35, and that's what the RED Komodo has. But the RED Komodo has the crop factor is 1.33 times instead of 1.5 or 1.6, depending on which APS-C or Super 35 size sensor you get. It just gives the image a bigger look, in my opinion. Now you can add speed boosters and all that kind of thing to your camera to get a full frame look. And I'll get into that kind of thing later. And that's really my overall plan here with these videos. I'm going to document my process shooting on the RED, but not only the technical side, just the overall experience of making this movie with that camera, but also just making the movie. Now, I've directed a bunch of movies. I've directed features. I've directed digital series, tons of shorts. This one, though, for the first time, I'm going to DP as well. So I'm directing and DPing. I'm pulling a Peter Andrews. If you don't know who that is, Google it. The main reason I decided to shoot it as well as direct is because it's so small and micro budget. I know the movie in my head, and I think it will just move very quickly. And so ultimately, I ended up buying the Komodo. And so the Komodo is a camera that you can't afford. I went with a pretty basic package because the Komodo itself is $59.95, so $6,000. That's a chunk of change, but to get the camera really up and working, you got to spend several $1,000s more, and I've been doing that. And so in this first video, what I'm going to do besides this spiel is I'm going to show the cage I went with and just a short little unboxing and a setup for it, because I know the cages for the Komodo are kind of they were a hot topic and they still kind of are. There's so many on the market. And the reason I went with the cage was obviously because you need to put more accessories on the Komodo to make it actually work. Now it does have a little monitor on top, which is nice. And so there's a million videos on YouTube. I'm not doing a RED Komodo review. I'm actually looking at this camera from the perspective of how I'm going to use it, and that is to shoot a feature film. And really, when you're talking about a RED camera or any of these high-end cinema cameras or higher end, that is what they're designed for, or commercials. The Komodo is really a true cinema camera. It's they call it a brain. It's a bare bones camera that you trick out either as big as you want to make it or as compact or as small as you want to make it. And that's one thing I really do like about it. And so now let's check out the cage. I'll go into more detail in the next videos about why I went with a cage. It's really all about accessories. You don't need a cage, you don't have to have a cage, but it is a nice accessory to get. And then I'll go into the other accessories that I did end up purchasing to build out the camera. Again, I'm keeping it pretty simple, but I'll go into power, handles, etc. as I move through this series of videos. And if you're interested in checking out the movie, I put a link in the description. Again, we're in pre-production right now, actually casting, but the movie will be shot this summer in June of 2023. And so these videos will kind of be a document of that process, and we'll do a lot of behind the scenes as I'm shooting too. So if you're interested, please follow along. Thanks for watching. This is Blake Calhoun, and I will talk to you in the next video.